we had a situation here where it was just rain on top of rain on top of rain, kept us out of the field way too long, and as a result, I was really well pleased with how long this went before the weeds started popping up in it. And at first there were just a few marginal weeds, and it stayed relatively clean for about 2.5 weeks after I saw the first soybean plants come up. If it had stayed clean a little bit longer, it sure would have been better, but farming's like a gamble. You never know what you're going to get. And when the rain came in here and kept us out of the field for so long, it sure would, that's what I mean. It would have been really nice if we'd have had some pre-emergent on this, but we didn't, so didn't get the advantage or the benefit of that. And as you can see later in some of the video footage, there was quite a bit of weed pressure. So we'll take a look at that when we get to it. These are actually the last soybeans that Cousin Scott planted before he left to go be with Jesus. And he achieved what he wanted to achieve with this. He was looking for a certain row spacing, which meant using the same tractor for planting that would be used for spraying. And since this video is about spraying, what you're going to see is that how well that lined up. And there's where we turned around and headed back up the field with the drone. And again, I mentioned, you know, this was still relatively clean. Didn't have a lot of weed pressure on it when I did this flyover, which was actually about 13 days before we got in here and sprayed. Weed pressure came up and just choked the beans down and made it really, really difficult to see the rows, so you could stay in the rows with the tractor. But Stephen did a fine job of it. I was really pleased with the young man and how he caught on to what I was explaining and how he applied what he was hearing to what he was doing. Hey everybody, soybean farmer. Today's June 1st, and we've been out spraying beans today, Stephen and myself. Stephen on the tractor and me planting spot flags, helping him get lined up on the rows. But we had a situation here where it was just rain on top of rain on top of rain, kept us out of the field way too long, and as a result, super heavy weed pressure. But by raising the chemical amounts just a tad, from 1.3 ounces to the gallon, which was my usual application rate, to 1.5, I believe we've gone like a home run on this situation. I'm walking over here to one of the last fields that we haven't sprayed yet to give you a look, see at what I was talking about with the weed pressure on this. And let's see. We'll walk up this way and take a look at it. Let me see if I can flip the camera around. And it's that book. Okay. And get up about like that so we can see a little better. There we go. And as we walk up through here, sickle pod and morning glory. That's our nemesis, our culprits. As you can see, rows get kind of thick with the weed population here. So I'll try holding that with this hand. There we go. Just giving you a look-see of what, you know, we got to contend with here. And in this area, like I said, it's sickle pod and morning glory. And up there, it's a little more grassy. And look out across the field. You stay lined up on the rows, and you can still see them. That was a concern in the field that we just finished. Is super thick stands of grass came up in it, and it made it real difficult, that Stephen was telling me, to actually be able to see the rows, so you could follow the rows down through the field. But this is an example right here of what we were dealing with back there. Except back there they were just taller, and cockleberry shows up right here. But that give you an idea. And of course, some of the drone footage might show you what we were dealing with. But praise God, it finally quit raining. Ground dried out enough that we can get over it without making ruts and a huge mess. So we've been able to get a whole lot knocked out today. Oh me. Well, that gives you a look-see. Everybody, thanks for watching the videos. Yeah, thanks for being here. God bless each and every one of you. Okay, now we're back over here on the 6-acre piece, and Scott chose the 2510 for planting, and which meant that was the one we were going to be using for spraying. As I get a little closer here with the drone, take a notice of the 2 back tires and how well they're lined up in the actual rows. I was really pleased with how that worked out. That's what Scott wanted to achieve. It really bothered him about the drive down over on the plants. So he wanted to avoid that, and he accomplished it quite nicely. And the other thing that I'll call your attention to here, notice how Stephen is sitting. He's leaning off to the right side. The reason is so he can keep an eye on that right front tire and keep it dead center as best he can of the row he's keeping it in. And there he's really leaning over so he can see, because the weeds got so thick on him. But the boy, the young man, he did a fine job of keeping that tractor lined up and producing for us a high quality spray job. And you can see that later on as we go back out there with the drone and take a look at the kill. I was noticing it this morning. So we'll get back out there with the drone and give y'all a look at it. Those tires on the 2510 right there are the narrowest tires of the larger tractors here on the farm. And they do a right fine job. Could have been made a whole lot more versatile with a set of duals to put on there. But notice how well they're tracking. It's in a curve right there that you just came out of. And Cousin Scott planted that field like that to control erosion. We put it on a diagonal, and then eventually, after a few years of that, incorporated that curve into it. But notice they're still tracking right along. There's minimal plant drive down, so that saves several days, actually about 5 days of that drive down time, to keep you from having to tolerate watching your plants come back. Well, I'm going to wrap this video up. Not too much else to see here, and I'll try to get another one out. Got no idea when I can, but I will try. God bless each and every one of you, and if you're still here, thank you so much for watching the videos. Bye, y'all.